Hey everyone. As of early 2026, only one Japanese company remains in the global top 50 by market cap, Toyota Motor Corporation. 30 years ago, Japan had 14 of the top 20 spots. Today, almost every other Japanese name has fallen out of that elite group. How did Japan, the country that gave the world Sony, with game changers like the Walkman, Trinitron, and PlayStation, stop producing giants like that? In today's episode, we'll explore a striking trend in the global business landscape, the decline of Japanese companies in the world's top 50 by market capitalization. As of early 2026, only one Japanese firm, Toyota Motor Corporation, remains in that elite group, with a market cap of approximately $289 billion, ranking around 15th globally. This is a far cry from the 1980s and 1990s, when Japan dominated with names like Toyota, Sony, Nintendo, and Mitsubishi Bank frequently topping lists. What led to this shift? And why has Japan struggled to produce innovative giants like Sony in recent decades? We'll examine this through an economic and structural lens, drawing on lesser-discussed factors such as corporate governance rigidity, demographic pressures, and shifts in global investment patterns rather than the usual narratives around the lost decades or asset bubbles. First, let's set the context with data from market analyses like those from companies Market Cap and Visual Capitalist. In 1989, at the peak of Japan's bubble economy, Japanese firms accounted for 14 of the world's top 20 companies by market cap, including Industrial Bank of Japan, Sumitomo Bank, and Fuji Bank. Sony, founded in 1946, exemplified this era's innovation, evolving from a small electronics repair shop to a leader in consumer technology with products like the Walkman, 1979, which revolutionized portable audio, and the PlayStation, 1994, which captured the gaming market. Sony's market cap reached over $100 million in the late 1990s, driven by R&D investments that once accounted for 6 to 8% of revenue annually. However, by 2026, the landscape has changed dramatically. The top 50 is now dominated by U.S. tech firms like NVIDIA, $4.8 trillion, Apple, $4 trillion, and Alphabet, $3.7 trillion, with Taiwan's TSMC, $2 trillion, and Saudi Aramco, $1.6 trillion, rounding out the leaders. Japan's representation has shrunk. Toyota stands alone in the top 50, while others like Mitsubishi UFJ Financial, $194 billion, around 51st, Hitachi, $136 billion, SoftBank, $134 billion, and Sony, $131 billion, hover just outside. This isn't just a market cap story. It's reflected in global rankings like the Fortune Global 500, where Japan had 45 entries in 2024, but few in the top tier by value. One underexplored reason is Japan's corporate governance structure, which emphasizes stability over agility. Many firms operate under keiretsu systems, interlinked conglomerates with cross-shareholdings that prioritize long-term relationships and risk aversion. This worked in the post-war Reconstruction era, but hinders rapid innovation today. For instance, Sony's early success stemmed from founder Akio Morita's willingness to take risks, like licensing transistor technology from Bell Labs in 1953. But modern Japanese boards, often dominated by internal promotions and lifetime employment norms, discourage bold moves. A 2025 study by the Japan Corporate Governance Network found that only 25% of the Nikkei 225 companies have more than one foreign director, limiting diverse perspectives compared to U.S. boards with 40 to 50% external input. Another factor is demographic stagnation. Japan's aging population, median age 49 in 2026, and low birth rate, 1.3 per woman, create a shrinking domestic market and talent pool.
Companies like Sony once thrived on young engineers pushing boundaries, but now face labor shortages. The silver economy focus on elderly products diverts R&D from global tech frontiers. Moreover, immigration policies remain restrictive, with foreign workers at just 2% of the labor force versus 17% in the US, limiting fresh ideas. This contrasts with Silicon Valley's melting pot, where firms like Apple benefit from global talent. Economic policies also play a role. The yen's weakness, around $150 to the dollar in 2026, boosts exports for giants like Toyota, but hurts tech innovators needing imported components. Prolonged low interest rates under Abenomics, 2012 to 2020, encouraged debt finance stability rather than venture capital investment. Japan's VC funding is only 5% of U.S. levels per GDP per a 2025 OECD report, stifling startups. Sony emerged in a post-war boom with government support for electronics. Today, regulatory hurdles and risk-averse banks make replicating that hard. Startups like Preferred Networks, AI, exist, but scale slowly, often acquired by U.S. firms. Globalization shifts add pressure. Japan's strength in hardware, e.g. Sony's Walkman, lost ground to software ecosystems. U.S. firms like Apple dominate value chains, capturing 60% of smartphone profits despite assembling in China. Japan's Galapagos syndrome, innovating for domestic markets, isolated companies from global trends. Sony's Betamax lost to VHS in the 1980s due to poor licensing. Similar isolation persists in robotics and EVs, where Toyota lags Tesla in software integration. Finally, cultural factors. Japan's emphasis on harmony, wa, discourages disruptive innovation. Failure is stigmatized, unlike Silicon Valley's fail fast mantra. A 2025 McKinsey report notes Japanese R&D spending, 3.3% of GDP, is high, but outputs focus on incremental improvements, not breakthroughs like Sony's Trinitron TV. In conclusion, Japan's inability to replicate Sony stems from intertwined structural issues: rigid governance, demographic challenges, economic policies favoring stability, globalization mismatches, and cultural risk aversion. Yet, firms like Toyota show resilience in core strengths. For Japan to birth another Sony, reforms in VC, immigration, and corporate culture are essential. What do you think? Can Japan make a comeback? Drop your thoughts below.